to Monday Night in Prophecy. This is the part where we go day by day and see what happened as it relates to biblical prophecy. And so we start with Thursday, the 1st of June of 2023. 5 faded letters inscribed on a storage jar is all the textual evidence we have from a 9th century BCE Abel Beth Makkah in the far north of Israel. It consists of the prepositional lamed for, or belonging to, followed by 4 letters that spell out the personal name B-N-Y-W, vocalized Ben Yah, meaning Yahweh has built. And so it's amazing that we continuously find, like in this case, a jar, a huge jar, and on it some writings, and with the word Yahweh. And so it proves that Israel at that time, which is just after King David's time, is already present in the very north of Israel. Let's continue on Friday the 2nd, the conflict of Israel with Iran. I want you to watch this segment. Let's go on to Saturday the 3rd. New opportunities. Israel discovers yet another natural gas field. The size makes Katlan Israel's 4th largest gas reserve. And again is already developing the Karish North and Tanin offshore reserves, as well as several blocks in the larger Tamar gas field. At approximately 68 BCM, that's billions of cubic meters of natural gas were discovered and are going to be harvested. That's out in the Mediterranean Sea, just offshore of Israel, and God is just blessing them with incredible amounts of natural gas. Sunday, the 4th of June, Israel at 75 years. So it's been 75 years since Israel became a nation, and I'd like us to watch this segment.
For 2,000 years, the Jewish people were in exile, dispersed and scattered throughout the world. And everywhere we dwelt, we kept in our hearts the song of redemption, the song of hope. על נהרות בבל, שם ישבנו, גם בכינו, בזוכרנו את ציון. אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, תדבק לשוני לחיקי, אם לא אזכרכי, אם לא אעלה את ירושלים על ראש שמחתי. Despite pogroms, crusades, expulsions, and persecutions, we remained true to our identity, our faith, and our tradition. But then, 120 years ago, a new spirit was aroused within the Jewish nation, the spirit of redemption. Rabbi Alkalai and Rabbi Kalisher, harbingers of Zion, published their works Minchat Yehuda and Drishat Zion, calling on Jews to make Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael and to settle the land with the values of Judaism and religious Zionism. Rabbi Moholiver galvanized Russian Jewry around the Zionist vision of Chibat Zion, and Jews from all over the globe heeded Herzl's call to gather in Basel for the first World Zionist Congress. Kumi Ori, kiva orech וכבוד השם עלייך זרח. בנייך מרחוק יבואו, ובנותייך על צד תאמנה. Slowly, but surely, with strengthening aliyot, more and more Jews arose and joined the journey. והיה ביום ההוא ייתקע בשופר גדול, ובאו העובדים בארץ אשור, והנידחים בארץ מצרים, והשתחוו לשם בהר הקודש בירושלים. By 1948, there were already 600,000 Jews living in Israel from all corners of the world, building towns, training in self-defense, and protecting Jewish homes and inhabitants from terror attacks. With the conclusion of the British Mandate, David Ben-Gurion took the courageous stand and declared the establishment of a Jewish state in Israel. And so it was. 2,000 years since the destruction of the temple, we merited the establishment of a Jewish state in the land of Israel, thus opening the gates for Jews the world over to return to our ancestral homeland. שאי סביב עינייך וראי, כולם נקבצו ובאו לך. כל צופייך יישאו כל רינה, ושבו בנייך לגבולך. Medinat Israel, the beginning of the blossoming of our redemption. With a record number of Torah students, Torah is alive and well, thriving with beauty and splendor. Israel is a light unto the nations in all areas of human industry, in science and security, ethics and medicine, innovation and high-tech. There are still challenges on the way to the full fruition of the vision. But today, 75 years after the establishment of the state, we can stand near Har HaMoriah, not far from our future Bet Mikdash, to look around us and sense the visions of our prophets being fulfilled in our time. How fortunate we are to live in a generation of redemption. How blessed we are to be back home in Eretz Yisrael.
The 5th of June. White House says Iran is helping Russia build a drone factory east of Moscow for the war in the Ukraine. And so you see on the picture a factory in Iran, hundreds of them, going to be used in the Ukraine, and now they're saying, let's just build one for you, a factory, so that you have them yourselves. Tuesday the 6th, the Iranians unveiled the Fateh missile in a very impressive ceremony in the presence of President of Iran and the commander of the Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is a hypersonic missile that can hit targets at the speed of Mach 13. That's huge. Very fast. Sources in the Revolutionary Guards also point out that the range of the missile reaches 1,400 kilometers, and it can perform maneuvers outside the atmosphere in a way that prevents any possibility of air defense systems hitting it, so they claim. Let's go to Wednesday the 7th. In recent weeks, tensions between Iran and Israel have escalated following Iran's introduction of its new Fateh missile. Israel's new, more hawkish cabinet is reportedly far more likely to approve attack on Iranian nuclear sites than government was 10 years ago. With Netanyahu as prime minister and the danger that he sees what's happening in Iran, such an attack is quite possible. Thursday the 8th. Israel develops new medical treatment. Close to 90% of 74 multiple myeloma cancer patients responded well to an advanced CAR-T cell therapy. More than half of the trial participants went into complete remission, and none experienced more than minimal and mild side effects. These are dramatic results and represent enormous hope for patients with a disease that to date was incurable. Wow, another first for Israel. Friday the 9th. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah are buried in Hebron. That's in the West Bank. On Jerusalem Day, a remarkable bike ride took place from Hebron to Jerusalem. The Jewish people riding their bikes between Hebron and Jerusalem is amazing. If you truly think about it, the nation of Israel was exiled for thousands of years. Yes, there were always at least a few Jews living in Israel, even though through all the exiles. But now there are not just a few Jews. There are millions and millions of Jews living in their homeland, and some of those Jews participated in this special bike ride in their ancient land. And so they want to show, look, Hebron belongs to Israel because our forefathers are buried there. So let's go ahead and watch.
כל אדם מחפש מקומות ונופים חדשים בעולם. הוא חוצה יבשות וימים במסע של הנפש לשם. על כנפי מחוזות הדמיון הוא מפליג בספינה אל הים, אך בסוף זה הלב שמוביל אותנו לשם. כל הדרכים, השבילים, הכבישים, השלטים מובילים לירושלים. כל התפילות, הדמעות, הארץ, נפות העמים, היא אורו של עולם. על 7 תארים היא עומדת ונמצאת בחלומות של כולם. מקצוות התבל הם נושאים עיניהם, המסע לא הושלם, כי בסוף זה הלב, רק הלב שמוביל, מוביל את כולנו לשם. כל הדרכים, השבילים, הכבישים, השלטים, מובילים לירושלים. כל התפילות, הדמעות, בקשות, מחשבות, מובילות לירושלים. כל השירים, פיוטים, מזמורים, סיפורים, כולם לירושלים, ירושלים שבלב.
Saturday the 10th of June, a trial of Universal Basic Income, UBI, will be tried for the first time in England, where 30 people will be given a monthly stipend with no strings attached. A little over 500 years after English philosopher Sir Thomas More first mooted the idea of wealth sharing program in his book Utopia, a work praised by the likes of Communist Manifesto author Karl Marx and Soviet dictator Vladimir Lenin, universal basic income will be trialed in England for the first time. Did they not learn their lesson yet after the communist experience in Soviet Union? Why would anyone want to do any work if they get an income on a regular basis without moving a finger? Just does not make sense. Let's go on to Sunday the 11th. On June 8th, the Iranian cleric called for Israel's destruction in a Twitter post, saying that the only remedy is for it to perish and expire. On the same day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken that returning to the nuclear agreement with Iran would not stop the Iranians, that no arrangement with Iran will obligate Israel, which will do everything to defend itself. In other words, regardless of what you arrange with Iran, USA, we, Israel, are determined to defend our homeland and attack if necessary. Monday the 12th. Knesset member Amit Halevi suggested a plan to divide the Temple Mount equally between Jews and Muslims. According to his plan, the Muslims will receive the southern area, including Alaska Mosque, and the Jews will receive the central and northern area of the mountain, including the Dome of the Rock. In order to implement this plan, excuse me, he suggested removing Jordan from its custodianship of the holy site. It'll never happen. No one in the Islamic world will ever agree to that, to divide the Temple Mount. That's their holy place, and especially the Dome of the Rock coming into Israeli possession. Completely out of question. It's not going to happen. And to remove the Jordanians from the custodianship of the holy site is not going to happen either, because again, the whole Islamic world would rise up in protest against that. Let's go on to Tuesday the 13th. Israel Rafael Advanced Defense System announced the development of what is said was the world's first hypersonic missile interceptor called Skysonic. The decision by the state-owned defense contractor to publicize the project comes after last week's unveiling of what Iran claims is its first domestically manufactured hypersonic missile. So, brothers and sisters, there is the answer to the hypersonic rocket. Israel has already developed a rocket that can shoot it down. And that's typical for Israel, isn't it? And they probably were working on that already for quite a while, even before that announcement. Wednesday, the 14th. Israeli media reported this week that Israel is expected to soon announce the approval of more than 4,000 new homes in the biblical heartland. Unsurprisingly, the media pounced on the development and rushed to condemn Israel for advancing what the White House calls an obstacle to peace and the advancement of the two-state solution. We'll talk about two-state solution a little later, but there is no peace no matter what unless Israel is removed. And that's not going to happen. Thursday the 15th. A top official with the World Economic Forum, WEF, has called for religious scripture to be rewritten by artificial intelligence, AI, to create a globalized new Bible. Oh, isn't that amazing? So the old Bible isn't good enough anymore, so we need a new one. And who's going to write it? AI, the artificial intelligence. They will put together a book for all religions. Does that sound like the book of Revelation coming true, where there will be a false prophet and all the religions will combine under him, and there it is. They are just going to have their new book, their new holy book, the new Bible. It's coming and it cannot be stopped. Friday the 16th. A recently amended California bill would add affirming the sexual transition of a child to the state's standard for parental responsibility and child welfare, making any parent who doesn't affirm transgenderism for their child guilty of abuse under California state law. So you Californians, you're going to abuse your child if you do not affirm the transgenderism idea. Unbelievable. I wonder what Christians in California think about that and what are they going to do. We're going on to Sunday the 18th. The World Health Organization, WHO, announced the launch of a digital COVID-19 certification system modeled after the European Union Digital Certification Network. While the WHO claims that the purpose of the system is to allow people to receive quality health service quickly and more effectively, experts say the initiative is a disguised power grab akin to the vaccine passport designed to be used as an enforcement mechanism for global control. Global control by the World Health Organization. We've heard that before. There's their plan, and it might very well happen because world control is coming all around the world. Tuesday the 20th. The commander of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Navy announced, from today, every ship and every boat that wants to pass through the Straits of Hormuz will have to introduce themselves in Persian and tell us their nationality, cargo, and destination. If they don't do it, we will get to them. To me, it shows American weakness. Why? Look at the map. The Strait of Hormuz, and it is a narrow waterway, but it's an international waterway, not an Iranian waterway. They have a certain amount along their coast, but beyond that, it is international. Now, on the right side, you see all the ships that pass through there on any given day. Massive amounts of ships in that area. And so they say, we are going to control what goes in and goes out. And I'm wondering, where is America in all of that? I don't get it. Wednesday the 21st. Stockton Rush, who piloted the OceanGate tourist submersible called Titan, that went to explore the RMS Titanic shipwreck and went missing and then imploded, killing Rush and his 4 passengers, was married to a descendant of a Jewish couple who was among the wealthiest people to die aboard the ocean liner when it sank in 1912. Rush, who was also the CEO and founder of the OceanGate, was 61 when pronounced dead on Thursday by the US Coast Guard after his vessel was found in pieces at the bottom of the North American Ocean near the Titanic shipwreck this week. His wife, Wendy Rush, is the great-great-granddaughter of the late retail giant Isidor Straus and his wife Ida. Isidor co-owned the Macy's department store. And so there's a lot of wealth there, and that ship that went down, the Titanic, had this super rich couple on board, and they both decided not to take the small boats that were sent out, but stay because there were women and children that did not get on, and they said, so we will not either. And they died. Just an interesting fact. Thursday the 22nd, breaking news. War inside Russia is underway. The Wagner Group's commander, Prigozhin, publishes his statement, says Russian army shelled Wagner's camp, says he moved his units to Moscow to punish the military, restore justice, urges military to try to stop his units, threatened to kill anyone who will try. Moscow is implementing the Fortress plan that deals with a coup attempt. All police and military units are called up. We go on to Friday. Bloodbath is expected soon in Russia. Key Russian government officials already left Moscow to St. Pete. The president is among them. Saturday the 24th. The rebellious Russian mercenary commander who ordered his troops to march on Moscow before abruptly reversing course will move to neighboring Belarus and not face prosecution, the Kremlin said Saturday, as part of a deal to defuse the crisis that represented the most significant challenge to President Vladimir Putin in his more than 2 decades in power. And so something happened suddenly, and the commander disappears to Belarus. The soldiers are supposed to go back and fight, although lately I've heard that that's not going to happen either. What exactly is going on there? Who knows? Oh, it's very puzzling. We're going on to Sunday the 25th. In front of a Jewish synagogue at East Cobb, Georgia, United States. This disgusting protest was organized by Goyim Defense League, GDL, a small network of anti-Semitic provocateurs led by John Minadio II. And it's sickening to see those flags that represent Hitler and his methods of getting rid of not just Jews, but Christians and others as well. Let's go on to Monday the 26th. The militarization of robot dogs is terrifying. Picture of what is to come. Let's watch a segment of that right now. Russian attack in Kramatorsk. The Russians say they attacked a meeting of NATO officers with Ukrainian officers. 8 people killed and over 50 attacked. Wow, NATO? That's representing all of Europe, including America and Canada on top of it. And some of them were killed, over 50 wounded. I wonder what's going to happen as a response to what the Russians did there. Wednesday, the 28th. The European Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee called for the EU to help the International Criminal Court to prosecute Israel for war crimes in a resolution on EU-Palestinian relations. So what's happening here, the EU is supposed to push the International Criminal Court to prosecute Israel for war crimes. And as you know, Israel only responds on an attack. So there's an attack from either a Gaza Strip with rockets or from the West Bank and the Palestinians living there, and Israel comes and responds, and they respond hard. But it's always the Palestinians that start it. And they are the ones now that are pushing to persecute the Israelis. But that's what's happening. Thursday the 29th. In the wake of deadly terror shooting Tuesday in the West Bank, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that all options are open to respond to the attack, as many members of his coalition clamored for a widespread military operation. Anyone who harms us is either in prison or in a grave. This will also be the case. And sure enough, within just a short time, both of the killers, the murderers of Jews, were dead. Friday the 30th, this goes hand in hand here. The UN accuses Israel of being responsible for thousands of violations against children, while only explicitly mentioning Hamas to praise its cooperation with the UN, despite Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad regularly recruiting teenagers and holding training camp for even younger children. The report does not separate out children who were themselves armed members of military groups. And so, as you can see on the picture, kids are, hatred is put into their mind towards the Israelis. Take a gun, kill them, throw stones, whatever you can do. And then, of course, the Israelis react. And even though they use often only rubber bullets, they too can be deadly. If you look at this, the stated goal of Hamas and Islamic Jihad is one state solution. Yeah, one state. All Jews have to leave Israel and only Palestinians are allowed to live in Israel. And it's going to be called Palestine. That's what they're saying. If you look at the map on the right, half of Israel and the bottom half, that's you can hardly live there. It's rocks and very hot and hostile. And so they have very little land for 8 million Jews. And so the West Bank that kind of hangs into it, the Israelis go and they start to put people there. But what is it? It's Judea, it's Samaria, it's Galilee. That's what it is. So that's going to create a lot of problems in the future. You know what Genesis 13 says as I come to a close? The Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, "Look around from where you are, to the north and south and to the east and west, and all the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring." How long? Forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. That's one of the early promises of Genesis 13. And there were many, many more coming again and again and again. It is your land. And God says no one should take it from you. So what we are seeing now in the times that we are living, everything comes to a peak. Everything seems like is coming to where Israel is condemned by the world and threatened by the world, and we know that God has a plan for Israel right there in Israel, nowhere else. And so we can trust God that His will be done as it is stated throughout the Bible. We know that's what's going to happen. Well, our next meeting is Monday, August the 3rd. Until then, I invite you to look up, because our redemption is drawing near. Thank you for watching.